So we're going to go through a number of different aspects of the human personality. This list is of course not exhaustive, but we're going to try and use some different aspects to gain an understanding of how tamas, rajas and sattva work. So we'll just touch on most of them pretty briefly and to try and get an overall picture. So the first, let's look at the physical level. Tamas is inertia, inactive. So it's exactly what we just talked about. At the physical level, we don't act. So there's a sense of lethargy or laziness. There is procrastination. We don't do what we know we should do. So at the level of the physical body, we are indisposed to activity. We're not really interested in doing anything at all. For rajas, at the level of action, what it means is that we are gripped by self-interest or desire, and so we are thrown into activity because of that. So a person who is rajasic has a lot of interest, a lot of self-interest, a lot of desire, and they're constantly acting. The problem with desire, as we'll get to in a moment, is that we are gripped by it. So we are not in control of our own actions. We're thrust into action because we are gripped by desire. So we tend to only rush around and perform desire-prompted or self-interested activities. Whereas a person who is in the highest mental state, their actions are governed or dictated by obligation and detachment. So the word obligation doesn't refer to some externally imposed burden. When we use the word obligation, what we're saying is that the individual has clearly recognized what they ought to do and they simply take to it. No grumbling, no mumbling, just recognition. This is my obligation, let me perform it. There is a sense of detachment. Whereas the rajasic person is characterized by self-interest, I want. The sattvic individual is characterized by, this is merely my obligation, whatever comes from it, comes from it. That is the detachment, rather than clinging after the world. So we have a question here, how would we characterize activity in the service of one's guru? So this is a great question. Let's think about it as we go through. So let's get through to the end of this and we'll come back to it and see if we can answer it based on what we've gone through.